Call of Duty Black Ops is one of the most innovating and unique games in the Call of Duty franchise, from the Hollywood screenwriting campaign to the innovative and balanced multiplayer. And with the bonus minigame of zombies taking over and becoming a grindable, competitive, featuring a storyline that's deeper than the Mariana Trench, Black Ops has to be one of the best games in the series and is personally one of my favorite, and I can safely say there will never be another game quite like Black Ops. Released first on November 9th, 2010 by Treyarch and Activision, Black Ops is set during the Cold War, and this is the first time that Treyarch switched away from their traditional, tried-and-true World War II genre games. The game was published after the huge success of Modern Warfare 2, so the bar was set extremely high. 13 years later, and with the power of hindsight, we can see that Activision had back-to-back smash hits. With a Steam rating of 9 out of 10 over nearly 15,000 reviews, an 8.5 by IGN, an 8.3 on IMDb, and winning awards such as the VGX Best Shooter in 2010, as well as the VGX Best Character in 2010, Black Ops was a smash hit both by fans and by critics alike. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and it clouds the bad memories out of your brain and promotes the good ones with even stronger emotions. And for me, Black Ops is no exception. I have the Call of Duty Prestige Edition, and I have the RCXD still in my house somewhere 13 years down the line. The memories that go along with this game are endless for me. From that first night that I got the game, to the RCXD, to coming home in the summer nearly 9 months after the game's release, playing baseball, and then going on and having LAN and pizza parties with my friends in my basement. Pulling all-nighters and having competitions with my friends to see who can kill the most people in Demolition in any given moment was an incredible time for me. And I love watching these short-form video essays, and I decided it's my turn to make one on my favorite game, the original Call of Duty Black Ops. On May 23, 2023, X-Labs received a cease and desist letter from Activision to shut down operations effective immediately. The X-Labs project was a free-to-play online version of MW2, open for anyone who wanted to play. However, Call of Duty Black Ops is hosted on a different operation called Plutonium, and Plutonium thankfully is still alive and well. However, there's still a chance that they might be shut down, and my childhood nostalgia had kicked in over the top, and I came rushing not only to play the game for what could be a final time, but also to come back and clear my head of nostalgia and really put in a retrospective of how good this game actually was. In this 3-part series, I'm going to start with zombies, go to multiplayer, and then finally the campaign. Zombies first is very different because most people like to start with the campaign, and I think that is boring. So I'm going to go with the zombies first, and I'm going to break it down like this. First, I'm going to go through and rank the maps purely on gameplay alone. The map, how it's designed, and how it plays. To start, I'm going to go over each map, talk about brand new things that it brought to the game, talk about how it plays, and to give it an overall rating out of 10. From there, once I've gone through all the maps, I'm going to do the same but incorporate the Easter egg. And from there, I'm going to see if the rating increases, decreases, how it affects overall gameplay, and what good and bad things come about it. So without further ado, let's jump in. Unlike Call of Duty World at War, in Black Ops, you start with one map, and that's Kino der Toten, colloquially known as Kino. This map you can play anytime, without worrying, without beating the game, without any Easter eggs, and it's grand. Kino der Toten translates to Theater of the Dead, and this theater is set in World War II West Berlin. Kino is a straightforward map with no crazy gimmicks and nothing difficult to try and do. Your goal on this map is purely to survive, and like the maps before it, you have a boss round of dogs every 5 or so rounds. We do, however, see the mainline storyline of Richtof and Takio, Nikolai, and Tank Dempsey return to progress the zombies storyline. I did, however, say that we didn't see too much introduction here to any new mechanics or anything, but we did get 2 things. We got the Thunder Gun, which in my opinion is the single most powerful weapon ever in the history of zombies, and then we got these new crawling, exploding zombies, which are there just to give you a bad time, explode in your face, and make your screen blurry. Kino picks up right where Der Rise left off in World at War Zombies. With the singular teleporter instead of 3, going through the map and getting an upgrade is much easier than ever. This map is exactly how Swedes would describe anything that's perfect. They call it lagom because it's just right, but it's not too much. The map plays perfectly for someone that's casual, but also for someone that's super competitive and wants to get a high round. There's nothing over the top difficult for a casual player to understand, and on the contrary, it's the basic core zombie game, and it gives competitive people a new goal and a new map to try and boost their score and get to the highest round possible. You can tell with the developers they didn't really take much risk, and they didn't want to get people too excited and too crazy just yet. So this map is very basic, very easy, but it actually plays super well. And with that, I rate this map a 6.5 out of 10. 5 is the zombie map that is unlocked when you finish the campaign, or if you're like me, you use the terminal computer in the main menu and enter the code 3ARC unlock. This is the first map that takes place in the Cold War era. It also takes place in the Pentagon, and we have a new cast of JFK, Richard Nixon, Robert McNamara, and Fidel Castro. If you've never played Call of Duty Black Ops, you're probably confused, but everyone who has and has played zombies is skipping over this part right now. This map is notorious for being one of the most difficult and annoying maps to play. And not only is it because it takes forever to get to the power and mystery box, but just when you spent a small fortune, a down payment on a new house, you're then greeted by the crawling zombies yet again, and the new boss on this, the Pentagon Thief. And it's not like you had a chance to get guns and get prepared for this guy. No, he comes like dogs every 5 rounds, and every time you see him, he comes for your weapons. One good thing about him, he doesn't kill you, so that's nice, but he'll take your guns and run. If you're playing multiplayer, this guy will come for one guy at first. Everyone else can't see him, but they'll see the particles around him. If you shoot him, it does damage, however you won't know if you're actually hitting or not. One of the main concerns that people have is the map's claustrophobic and it's super tight. The flow of the map also is awful, and the only thing tighter than this map and the flow is you when you hear the Pentagon Thief coming. If you kill the Pentagon Thief, you're rewarded with a max ammo. Now on this map, death machines will drop as a random power-up, which is the first time this has ever happened in a zombies map before. If you're good enough to kill the Pentagon Thief without taking any damage or having him steal any weapons from you, you're rewarded with the new power-up called the Bonfire Sail. This power-up reduces the cost of Pack-a-Punch from 5,000 to 1,000 and is a very nice reward for doing the impossible. On a side note, because I'm not a masochist in the zombie world, I've completely forgot that this existed until I did the research for this video. So I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Going back to new features, in the laboratory on the downstairs floor where the power is, you actually have teleporters. And running through these will take you around the map in the laboratory, as well as one in the DEF CON room. However, if you have the Bonfire Sail, running through any teleporter will instantly take you to Pack-a-Punch. And now that you've done the impossible with the Pentagon Thief, if only there was such an easier way. And there is! The new wonder weapon introduced here is the Winter's Howl. It can be obtained from the mystery box and it freezes zombies, thus killing them. If you shoot it at the Pentagon Thief, it slows them down significantly. And in order to kill him, you need to be the true ADC that you are and kite him. Shoot with the freeze, switch to your gun, shoot to the freeze, switch to the gun, so on and so forth. As for the actual map design, this map is very tight and has lots of choke points. There's nowhere you can really camp, and there's very few places that you can actually train the zombies. On the top floor, you have the main starting spawn room, and there's nothing there. You have to take an elevator down to the war room, and from there you can take the second elevator down to the laboratory, and that's where you get the power and the mystery boxes. And of course, that's when the Pentagon Thief starts, and it causes panic. And you've already spent so much time and money to get down there, that turning the power on is much better to wait. In order to Pack-a-Punch, you have to head back to the war room and change each DEF CON level back to DEF CON 5. From there, you can take the teleporter that's situated in the war room, and it will take you to the Pentagon safe room, which is where you upgrade your gun. The fun fact about here is you can actually stay in here and keep it open as long as you want, as long as one player is holding the fort down. However, there is a zombie spawn point in there, so there's no incentive to camping or staying in there. You have zombies coming from both the front and the back sides. Overall, this map is decent. It fits the storyline and theme of the game, but it's such a choking hazard that it should come with its own label showing for ages 3+. Some of the characters are pretty fun, like JFK, always shouting, "Pain is temporary, pride is forever." But the map really isn't that memorable. People didn't have a good time playing it. I never had a good time playing it. And to be honest, if you had the Bonfire Sail on other maps, it might have worked better. But this map was super gimmicky, it wanted to test the waters, and the Winter Howl was cool, but we never saw it again. Except for when it was re-released into Verrucht, which we saw released in the final map pack with the original 4 maps from Call of Duty World at War. Overall, I give this map a 5 out of 10. 1 for the memes, and 2 because it's not that bad, but it's really not good. The third and most unique map in the history of Call of Duty Zombies is Dead Ops Arcade. The only way to unlock this is by going to the terminal in the home screen and the main menu and using DOA on the screen to unlock it. Instead of being a traditional first-person gameplay style, you're transformed into a classic stand-up arcade cabinet with a 2D top-down version of zombies. The map starts you on an island and you can move around from level to level, deciding which way to go after you complete the round. The rounds and scenes in the background are broken down as follows. Rounds 1 through 4 is on the island, round 5 through 8 courtyard, 9 through 12 on prison, 13 through 16 on a cave, 17 to 20 at the marketplace, 21 to 24 urban, 25 to 28 street, 29 to 32 facility, 33 to 36 forest, and 37 to 34 tropical forest. As you may have noticed, the levels end at 40, so to speak, and that's where a final boss comes in, and you technically get a game over. Most people use this as an end goal to try and get to level 40 and beat the final boss. Ammo is of no concern, as you have unlimited ammo with your starting weapon in the standard machine gun. This machine gun is the M60, it has unlimited ammo and does a damage rate of 100 and shoots 2,727 rounds per minute. Weapons drop as power-ups and they have a limited ammunition or time duration, and they are as follows. You can get a death machine, an RPG, a ray gun, a Spaz 12, a China Lake, as well as a flamethrower. On top of this, there's also 2 vehicles that you can get. There's tanks that put a player in the tank for 20 seconds, which makes you invincible, but allows you to run over zombies and fire shells at them automatically. The problem with this is that they're very difficult to control and have a mind of their own. The second weapon is the gunship, and that puts a person in a helicopter for 20 seconds, makes them also invisible, but it hovers and shoots both missiles and their turrets simultaneously. It's much stronger and much easier to control when in comparison to the tank. However, there's a unique feature about this that in the multiplayer, if the green player picks up the helicopter, all zombies on the map will go for that player in the helicopter and no one else. There is one exception, hellhounds are immune to this, and you will not see a helicopter before round 9. If you make it to round 13, you have a chance of getting a Fate of Fortune room up until round 16, which grants you a power-up or a bonus ability for the rest of the game. The first is the Fate of Fortitude, which grants the ability to use power-ups, vehicles, weapons for twice the duration. This also resets the player's multiplier to 2x instead of 1x upon death. The second fate is the Fate of Firepower, which grants a permanent death machine as a player's default weapon. Picking up a death machine will not affect the player's gun. Picking up other weapons will swap the player's gun to the weapon picked up, and when it's done, you revert back to the death machine. And let's be honest, the death machine's really strong, so what's the point of picking up another weapon if it's not a ray gun? The third is the Fate of Friendship, which gives the player a chicken to be used permanently. The fate also doubles the duration of any further chickens picked up, similar to the Fate of Fortitude. We'll get onto the chicken a little bit later. And the last fate is the Fate of Furious Feet, which grants permanent boots to the player, permanently increasing their speed. This will also increase the player's lightning bolts to 3 every round, provided that that player has less than 3 at the beginning of the round. Picking up boots won't affect anything going forward, so if you're playing multiplayer, don't be greedy, give it to your friends. In the Fate of Fortitude, we talked about the multiplier that players get. The main goal of the game is to pick up gems and increase your score. For every 200,000 points that you score, you gain an extra life, and having a multiplier helps you get that score back much quicker. The next bonus room that you find grants you the player 4 piles of treasure. You pick up a ton of gems, but you also pick up guns, and there may be some power-ups that you get, but this is just a bonus room, but it also doesn't count as a round in terms of the leaderboard. The final room is the armory, and it gives you tons of power-ups, extra bombs, dashes, vehicles, anything that you couldn't find in the bonus room, you'll find in here. It's just a matter of finding the correct path. And again, it doesn't count to the leaderboard ranking. And you thought we were done. No, we still have more power-ups. Each person in the game has 2 different abilities, which is a dash, the lightning bolt, and a nuke, which is a nuke. It goes boom. You know how it works. On top of that, there's a teddy bear, an electric orb, a barrel, a chicken, and boots, as well as monkey bombs and a turret. So how do these power-ups work? The teddy bear creates a field around the player for 20 seconds, doing no damage but repelling any zombie that comes near, with one exception, the cosmic silverback. The electric orb creates 4 rotating orbs around the player. Like the Wonder Waff, it will spread and shock any zombies within a range. It also lasts for only 40 seconds, or until all orbs are used. The barrels will create 2 barrels that rotate around the player for 20 seconds, killing any zombies that come in contact with it. The chicken, as we mentioned earlier, spawns a flying chicken for a limited time, 40 seconds. The chicken will fly around the player, shooting the same direction and helping the player out. Like I said earlier, the Fate of Friendship will spawn you with one permanent one, and any additional you pick up will add for 40 seconds. The chickens are quirky, and anytime you get into a tank or a helicopter, they pick up an additional gun. If you're in a tank, they'll get a China Lake, and if you're in a helicopter, they'll get a ray gun. When your chicken's about to expire, it will stop moving with you, stand in a circle, and start spinning frantically and shooting everywhere around it. Boots will give you a 10-second speed boost unless you have the Fate of Furious Feet, and then it will do nothing. A monkey bomb is just as it seems. It's a monkey bomb. It stays, it claps, it booms. And the turret also is just like that. It lasts for 30 seconds or until the round is over, whichever comes first. And after that, it becomes R. Kelly and it believes it can fly, and it flies away. Of course, you're fighting so many different zombies. So here's the breakdown of different zombies. You've got the prisoner zombies, the exploding crawlers, villager zombies, engineer zombies, a Sasquatch, the abominable martyrs, the hellhounds, the cosmic silverback, and the cosmic silverback's brother. There is so much that we've talked about here and a lot to cover that isn't even close to the main storyline of the game. This has to be the most unique and intricate different game mode for zombies, and they have the same values as survive till the end. Your goal is to survive. In my youth, I really never valued this, and I thought, I was an FPS elitist. If it wasn't first person, it wasn't right. But coming back and playing it as an adult, it's pretty fun. The different perspective, the different game mode, super cool. I highly recommend, however, you play with a controller, because on a keyboard or mouse, it's super awkward. It's super intuitive with both the left and right joysticks. And with that in mind, I give this map a solid 8 out of 10. Now on to the first DLC map, Ascension. Released on February 1st for the Xbox 360 and March 3rd for PS3 and March 25th for PC. It's one of those things that you remember at the time, but in the moment now, 13 years later, you forget that there was separate release dates because of the deal Activision and Microsoft had. The map is based in the Soviet Cosmodrome in 1963 Soviet Russia and sees our normal cast return back to play after a 2-map hiatus. This map is actually quite big and flows pretty well. When you spawn in the map, you'll notice it's all black and white. Really know why they did this? You get your color back when you turn the power on, but I don't know, kind of a weird add-on. You'll also notice when you spawn in, you come down through a lunar lander, which foreshadows the map and how to play at the new features. It hints at something new and gives the player something to work toward and kind of think about what's going on, instead of just spoon-feeding them right away. Before I go over the map, let's talk about the new things that Ascension brought into the game. First, 2 new perks, both costing 2,000 points. The first one is Stamina Up, and this is basically like having Marathon and Lightweight in one perk, and you're basically missing Commando Pro. But, have no fear, that's where you get the brand new PhD Flopper, which not only was a Commando Pro, but it created a nuke every time you dolphin dove off something via a dolphin dive that would normally cause damage to the player. You actually create a nuke that explodes all around you. And hands down, PhD has the best music of any perk machine that has ever existed in the world.
Damn straight.
Another great thing about this perk is that you take no splash damage. So if you hold a grenade and cook it for too long, you won't hurt yourself. If you take a ray gun and shoot it too close in a horde of zombies, no problem. If you take bad luck from the mystery box and get a rocket launcher, guess what? You're fine. Mustang and Sally, go nuts. All in all, you take no damage at all. Unless you get a grenade thrown back at you. Now you might be wondering, how do you get a grenade thrown back at you? Zombies are not that smart. They've never thrown grenades. Well, that's where the new space monkeys come in. This is the new boss of Ascension. And just like dogs as well as the Pentagon Thief, every 5 rounds or so once the power is on, these monkeys come to steal your perks. If you have a perk and they go after it, they're going to try and destroy the machine. And perks have 100 HP. And every time a monkey inflicts a damage on the machine, if you're far away, it's 1 HP. If you're close, it's 8. If they disable all 100 points, you lose that perk and you have to rebuy it. Upon defeating the last monkey, you'll get a max ammo. But if you successfully defend all your perks from taking any damage, you will get a random perk bottle, and this is the first time this has happened. A random perk bottle is a new power-up that will give you a random perk on the map. This not only allows you to get perks that you haven't unlocked the doors to, but you also can get more than 4 perks, allowing you to get all of the perks on the map. And just in case it's not obvious, if you haven't opened the door to the perk and the monkeys come, they're not going to attack your perk. They can't get there. You can't defend it, they can't get it. So if you use that to your advantage, you can try and get more perks and only defend one. And with less players, this makes it much easier to hold down the fort and get more perks later on. Instead of monkey bombs, since they already have a new job, there are two new special grenades, the Gersh device and the matryoshka.
In Russian, the pronunciation is as matroshka.
The special dolls that go inside of each other, the Russian ones. In my opinion, the Gersh device is one of the coolest things that they've added into zombies. You throw it down and it creates a black hole. And not only will it suck all the zombies in and eventually kill them, the players are also affected by its gravity pull, and they can be pulled into the center. However, if you jump and run through the portal at the same time, you get teleported to a random location on the map. This could be used strategically, this could be used for fun. It's just a new feature that I thought was really neat, and it's super fun when you first play with it. On the contrary, you have the dolls, and I can't say their name, but basically they're cluster grenades. So you throw one down and it breaks off into 4 different total grenades. The last new thing that you have are the lunar landers. The lunar landers go around the map and are how you initiate the pack-a-punch machine. Once you get those done, you can set off the rocket, which, as you might have noticed, it looks like launch. And like launch, get that rocket out of here and start going to pack-a-punch. So you can actually blow up the rocket. Likewise, there will also be a double points underneath where the rocket and the pack-a-punch machine are, so enjoy your reward, I guess. In my opinion, it looks like the map designer and the developers took the feedback of the previous 2 maps and kind of mixed it together. They wanted something where there are choke points and you could get caught up, but they also wanted areas where you can run around and explore with the lunar landers. The design of the map is pretty impressive. It's very simple, but it also flows super well. When it first came out, this is one of my favorite maps, and I loved it every time I played it. My friends and I still go back occasionally and play, and this is the one, no matter what map came out, we would always come back and play this. Overall, on Ascension, for me, just based on nostalgia and how it plays and its actual layout, this is an easy 9 out of 10. A map on the coast of Russia with a name so long, I'm just going to put it on the screen here. I'm not going to say it all. Very difficult. Is the second map release, Call of the Dead, in the map pack Escalation. When you load up Call of the Dead, you'll notice that there's a new cutscene and a new cast and a new actor, famous person you might recognize, George Romero. Likewise, you have Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robert Englund, Danny Trejo, and Michael Rooker all as playable characters in this map. With the modern day cast, you can tell that this is taking place in modern day, which at the time was 2011. So, you have an origin story showing how zombies came back into play and why there was a problem back in 2011, which we'll get to a bit later in the zombies storyline, but basically teleportation went wrong, and now they're here. There are brand new things on this map. First, George Romero becomes the boss, and he is a new, slow, walking, annoying piece of junk that's on the map. He spawns in at the beginning, and he's very chill. But if you accidentally shoot him, he goes into a rage. He jumps in the air, swings his light that he broke from the set, and creates a shockwave around him, shocking both players and zombies around him. They will create an electrified zombie or make your screen go electric, which is similar to if you remember the Wonder Waffle running into the electric gates on Day Ride. You can bring him back to any water source and make him chill out, and because chill, cold water, cold winter. Alright, anyway, he has 250,000 health per person on the map, and every time you go to kill him, it takes a lot of shots. The easiest or the most powerful weapons are like snipers, only when they're upgraded though. You can tell when he's about to die or getting closer to being killed. His light will change colors, whether that's flickering or fully out. Once you see it go, you know he's almost dead. So what do you get if you kill him? Well, you get a death machine, as well as a perk bottle. And as we saw in Ascension, you can get more than 4 perks, and this is the first time on any map you can get all 8 perks. And that's right, I said 8 perks because they introduced a new perk called Deadshot Daiquiri. Costing only 1,500 points, this is steady aim on steroids. It reduces weapon spray by 35%, it moves the aim assist lock-on to focus on the head instead of the torso, it completely removes any weapon sway when you're aiming down sights, for example in a sniper. Another new feature, like I said, was the electric zombies. Players attacked by an electric zombie, their movement will be momentarily slowed and an electric shock will go across the screen, as I mentioned before. There are 2 wonder weapons, the Scavenger, which shoots explosive sniper bullets, and the VR-11. If you shoot this, it turns zombies into humans and sends them crazy. However, if you shoot at George Romero while he's angry, it will temporarily calm him down. The upgraded version will send George away for the whole round, which is good for surviving high rounds. One of the things I didn't mention is that every time you kill George Romero, he comes right back because he's a pain in the ass. The frigid water will eventually freeze the player, and like I said, it also calms George down. There's also dynamic weather, which goes from a foggy, dark, windy night, or to a snowstorm, to a clear day. On top of that, there are 2 zip lines across the map, as well as a flinger that launches the player back across the map. And the last new thing is the moving pack-a-punch machine. There's 3 locations that it can be, and this is revealed via the lighthouse and where it's looking at. Overall, it's a big map. It's the 2nd biggest in Call of Duty Black Ops and the 6th biggest overall. I think it's fun in burst, but trying to play the challenge and get everything going on this was difficult. George always comes back every round, and early on it's easy to run away and get rid of him. But if you don't have the VR11 to send him away or someone with it, you're just spending tons and tons of time running away as well as trying to kill him. But you're spending so much ammunition. 250,000 per person is insane. That's over 24 shots from the scavenger. In a retrospective way, this map is much better than it was at the time, and I don't think this map got enough love as it did. On the ship, for example, you're forced into a small, tight area. Near the lighthouse, you'd think you have more open room, but the way to run around is so compact that there isn't much to go off of. On top of the lighthouse, you would think that you have a lot to go and hide, but no, there's doors on each side making it impossible to camp up there. You can take the zipline to get out quick, but after that, you're back into the ship where it's already a tight corridor. Not to mention that having a moving box on spawn and having a place like the end of the ship is just unnecessary. It's so far away. It's so difficult, you can't really do anything there. It's just, there's nothing over there. And the dynamic weather, if you get caught later on, it makes it more challenging, which I appreciate, but it's just annoying. You change the visibility and then you end up with a situation that's so difficult for people who already have problems seeing. That being said, I do have a few positives. I really like the zip lines. I think the quick escapes and getting around the map quickly is very cool. Using the flinger to get back, very cool. Having a pack-a-punch that moves, also pretty cool. I find that a cool gimmick. However, if you're in need of a hurry and you don't really know where it is, yeah, it could be annoying. With this map, I think it's very different than a normal zombies experience, and I think they took the risk to try something new, which is what should have been done all along. However, it wasn't executed the best as it should have been. And you can't get everything right the first time. But it got off the ground. And when you had a map like Ascension that you're comparing it to, where you did so well, but it was also so basic, and you finally take a risk, you have to appreciate what went on. But overall, this map for me gets a 5.5 out of 10. The 3rd map pack dropped on June 28th for Xbox and July 28th for PS3 and PC, and was called Annihilation. In this map, Treyarch decided to jump back down to reality and find the balance on size and focus on the map by making a straightforward, easy gameplay designed map, testing some new ideas, and I say new because some of them are just redesigns of old ideas that they had on different maps. But let's go over some of the new stuff that they added. There are the new map elements such as the water slide and minecart to help players navigate around the map and get through to different parts quickly. There are geysers that launch players out from the underground back to the surface. Outside of the spawn room, there's the Punji stick traps. These are little sticks that poke up from the ground that slow the player as well as the zombies. Does a little damage to both the player and the zombie, but eventually will kill if you're not careful enough. There's also the mud pit maze near the water slide, and when a player steps on one of the pressure plates, walls will come down and decide which way the player will go. You can, however, not take the plates and go through the mud, and that will be a very, 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 very slow walk. There's a new wonder weapon in the 3179 JGB215, or as everyone else called it, the baby gun, or the baby maker. And this gun shrinks zombies into a small little size and allows the player to Falcon Punch! And all you have to do is run into them. There are 2 different types of zombies that are introduced, the napalm as well as the shrieker zombies. The napalm zombies are highly volatile and burn the player when they come close. Upon death, they'll explode. They leave behind a huge pile of napalm, killing any zombie or player that comes in contact with them. They are slow, however, so you can walk away pretty easily and get away very quickly. The player in the proximity to the napalm zombie will feel the heat in their vision before they actually see them. On the other hand, shrieker zombies are very fast and they sprint towards the player. Once close enough, they'll let out a shriek, which causes the player's vision to become distorted and foggy and return slowly over time. Killing the shrieker zombie will cause surrounding zombies to scream out in pain clutching their heads and then dying. Monkeys actually make their return to the map, but not in the way that you think. They sit at the temple where the Pack-a-Punch machine is and wait until a power-up is dropped. Then they rush out and try and pick it up and steal it from you. It's bad because they're stealing the power-up from you, but it can be very good because they can actually cycle out a power-up in your favor. For example, if you get Carpenter and you let them sit there, you can time it until they give you a max ammo. However, if the monkeys end up taking your max ammo, they actually put in a 0.5 second chance of getting a perk bottle to drop. So if you time it right and you play your cards right, you can get a random perk bottle as well as your power-ups. But these guys are fast, so you gotta be quick and be efficient. The only change on this map is that the claymores are turned into spikemores, and this is the only time we've ever seen this variant. And fun fact, this is the first map to feature female zombies. I am one of the people that actually enjoyed this map when it came out. I think most people when it came out thought that it wasn't the greatest. They thought it was just going back to the simple design. And you know what? That is true. However, it's effective. There aren't really many choke points. There's some on the bridges or in the tunnels going through it. There's a little where you can route around and walk where you're open, but it's still close and it's still a compact zone, but it doesn't feel that way. The map is open and you can go throughout it on many different access points. Like we said, the water slide, the best part of the map. You can go from one end of the map to the other. Another quick exit point is the minecart, which does the same thing on the other side of the map. So you have many ways to get out of there. The geysers lift you up when you're in the trouble, and you can run around and chain in different areas. The baby gun is underrated, and this is the only time we've ever seen it in a map. Killing your zombies by shrinking them and then kicking them out of your way. It's a pretty cool niche. I like it. And it was super useful in tight spaces. You shoot it, spam it, and you just run through everyone like there's no problem. One of the downsides is the Pack-a-Punch. You need everyone on your team to cooperate. So if you have a troll, Mike de Boom, you can't upgrade because everyone has to stand on the pressure plates until they're held fully down. And once you get there, you have to run all the way back to the middle, and you're on a timer. This is a second cool water slide, but it's not quite the same because you're not doing it by choice. And at some point there was a glitch where you could stay up there infinitely and, never die from zombies. So that was cool. Again, I think this map is designed very well. With 3 routes and 3 different focal points, it flows better than when the morning snooze hits. And kids, don't snooze. It's a bad habit, leads to nicotine. But if you know, you know. And likewise, there's no real gimmicks on this map. I mean, the translated name of the map is Paradise, and it's kind of like that. But a lot of people didn't feel this way. They thought that it was too tight, too narrow, it was boring, and it really is a difficult map. Except for the water slide. That's the best part. And maybe the baby gun. But mostly the water slide. In my opinion, this map felt like Treyarch tried to perfectly balance the problems they had on Call of the Dead, as well as combining it with the flow of the map of Ascension. And honestly, who doesn't love the red-headed stepchild? This map worked well, and it is great, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. If it's your niche, then great. If not, you know what? It's okay. And for me, I rated a 5. You know what? I rated a 6. 6 for the water slide. 5.5 for everything else, but a 6 because of the water slide. The final Zombies map released for Black Ops was Moon, and on this map pack, you had the full focus to zombies. You had 4 maps returning from the first original Call of Duty World at War, and you have the one and biggest map in Black Ops, Moon. Released first on August 23rd, 2011 for Xbox, and then again a month later on September 22nd, 2011 for PS3 and PC, this final map was everything. Treyarch put so much work into this map, designed it to be one of the biggest, and have one of the best gimmicks as well as the strongest map design out of any of the maps we've seen before. When you first spawn into the map, you'll notice you're not on the moon, you're actually at Area 51. And to your right, you'll notice Juggernaut and Speed Cola switching, and this is where the first perk spawns. In front of you, you see the Pack-a-Punch machine, and you have access to it right away. So if you're willing to test your skills and stay on the Area 51 map for as long as you want, you could upgrade your pistol from round 1 before round 1 even begins. At Area 51, the zombies will spawn slowly and with low health and low move speed, just like round 1. And gradually over time, they'll become stronger and faster, and you'll notice this with the tactical nuke type sound. Eventually, you'll see Hellhounds spawn. They only spawn at Area 51, and they spawn with a maximum of 10 possible Hellhounds at once. As I said before, there's an indicator and buzzer when the zombies get stronger, but there's also an indicator buzzer when it's ready to go to the moon. Behind you where you first spawned, the teleporter is ready to go. Now finally round 1 can start. You'll notice your screen's blinking, you're losing oxygen, and you can't breathe, and your player will indicate that to you. So you gotta grab the new PES system, which is just the spacesuit, but it makes you breathe. Come on, grab it. And with that, let's talk about the other new things that the map introduced. So now that you can breathe, let's talk about the hacker. A hacker is a device that you can use around the map to hack different things. Doors can be hacked open for 200 points, but it takes 32.7 seconds to open. Is it a good trade-off? Yes, but you need some time. You can hack windows to repair every barricade at once, and it grants 100 points, but only the first 2 times. After that, if you do it again, you're charged 300 for the window, and then it increases in price. You can actually use the hacker to transfer a balance from one player to another. It costs the player giving only 500, but it gives the person,
you guessed it, 500 points.
The mystery box is interesting because there's multiple uses for the hacker. First, you can roll to any location anywhere regardless of where the box is for 1200 points. This will allow you to roll only one time, but once you do this, the box cannot move to that location for a long time, about 2 to 3 rounds. So, if you want to keep the box in a certain spot, you can hack the other location so it doesn't move on you. Regardless of where you move the box or where you roll the box, if you hack it again, you can re-roll for 600. And finally, if you don't like that, you can hack it one more time and give it to your friend. So if for whatever reason you get a ray gun and you want your buddy to have it, you can hack it and give it to him. Next, there's the excavators, which you'll know when the PES system talks about it. Doing so will give you 1000 points and save the oxygen levels in wherever it is. You can hack any wall weapon for 3000 points, and doing so will change the price between the pack-a-punched ammo and the regular ammo. You'll know when it's hacked when the gun is inverted on the wall. You can hack the pack-a-punch machine on Area 51 so that you can have a safe zombie-free experience. You can hack perk machines, but instead of getting it for a cheaper cost, you actually return the perk back to the machine and get your money back. You can hack any power-up and it costs 5,000 and it will turn it into a max ammo, except if you hack a max ammo, it will turn it into a fire sale. And then there's some stuff that you have to do for the Easter egg. Moon introduces the astronaut zombie, which takes the name of one of your friends on your friends list, but he walks around slowly like George Romero, but when killing him, he does a lot of damage. If he ends up taking you, he'll take your perks and teleport you to a random spot. So basically, he's a mix between all of the bosses before in a very balanced way. On the outside, there's the teleporter that takes you back to Area 51 so that you can pack a punch. All you have to do is open it, and everyone has to stand on that portal so that you can go back. Mule Kick is introduced as a new perk. It costs 4,000 and lets the player carry 3 guns. And as a side note, in the final update for Black Ops, Mule Kick was added to every map prior to this. Once again, we have a new wonder weapon called the Wave Gun, which is actually 2 guns in one. You can either use it dual wield or put it together to make the Wave Gun. There's a new specialty grenade called the QEDs, or the Quantum Entanglement Device. The QEDs are so unique. I'm just going to have all of it listed on here of what it can and cannot do. And basically anything you think of, it can do it. Oh, you want a ray gun? It will spawn you a ray gun. Oh, you want to get a door open? Throw it at a door. It will open the door. It's insane. And of course, the Gersh devices finally come back, replacing monkey bombs. Alright, this was the go big or go home moment. The devs took that to heart, and they built a map around that. It's so grand and so vast that it not only took a long time for players to figure it out, but the ability to make it replayable and have a great time while doing it was great. It introduced 2 different challenge modes. Surviving on Area 51, where you get a time as soon as you come to the moon to tell you how long you were, as well as the highest rounds like traditional zombies. This map isn't technically easy, but to me, I found it super easy to go around the biodome to chain and hide and run, but when you go into other parts of the map, it makes it a bit more difficult. If you're like me, you try to avoid the decompression of everything so that you don't have to wear the spacesuit. If you throw a grenade in the spawn area on the moon, or if you throw it into any hallway where there's a window, you'll break it, decompress it, and you'll have to wear the spacesuit. And it also changes the gravity. I personally prefer the regular physics as opposed to gravity physics, but that's just me. Like I said, the astronaut zombie, way better. It's the right balance. They took a lot of time figuring it out, and I think the touch of adding a personal username into it makes it unique, and it makes it a true experience to you that's unique to the player playing. If you take some time to do different tasks like hacking, or if you want to have a crawler, the map can be very slow to start. I feel like if you try to hack, not only does it take 30 seconds to do 1 door, if you try to do this for 3 or 4 doors just to do it for free, you're going to be sitting there for minutes trying to do something. And not only that, if you go back and forth between, zombies take forever to find you when they're a crawler, and you can just sit there. If you rush it like I did, you might lose all your money, you might lose all your ammo, and you'll be stuck trying to play what do I do. But that's also what makes it unique. There's so much variability to this map that if you want to play where you don't break windows, that's great. If you want to play where you don't give a fuck, that's also great. For me, when I played and this map came out, it was the hottest thing since sliced bread. I loved it so much. Whether that's hacking the doors open, getting a QED and having it drop you a ray gun or some other rare 1 in 1,000 chance item or drop happening. And with how much joy this map brought me, I loved it so much. And with that, I rate this one an easy 9 out of 10 as well. Alright, here's the map's ratings before the Easter egg and just based purely on my enjoyment and the playability. You have Kino at a 6.5, 5 out of 5, Dead Ops at 8, Ascension at 9, Call of the Dead at 5.5, Shangri-La at 6, and Moon at 9. The good thing about this is they're all pretty good maps. You know, for the weakest one being a 5, I think that speaks volumes of how good the maps were. But now it's time to go into the Easter eggs, so let's see how that affects and changes the rankings and positions of the maps.
You thirsty, partner?
Zombies Easter eggs are one of the biggest and most intricate part of the Zombies experience, and rating a map based on the Easter egg versus how they are in a separate individual gameplay is very different, and I think combining the scores and then taking the average is something that's a bit better. I also think it's very difficult to rate maps like Kino 5 and Dead Ops that don't have any sort of Easter egg other than a musical Easter egg against ones that do, like the rest of them. And this is why I have this second part where I go over the Easter egg as well as give it a ranking on its difficulty and how impactful the reward is. And then I'll combine that with the original rating and give you the new rating overall. I'm also going to assume that because we're 13 years out from when this game originally came out, that you have an idea of what the Easter egg is, the storyline, and how it goes. So I'm not going to go into everything in detail. If you want full tutorials, I'll leave both video as well as a written link in the description below, and you can follow what I use to help write the script. Ascension is the first map, and with so, it has one of the easiest Easter eggs. Timing is a bit important here because you need to wait for monkey rounds, and you also need Gersh devices. So step 1 I wrote down is that you throw out the Gersh device at the generator outside the MP5, you go to the lunar lander area past Stamina Up, hit the terminal PC under the stairs, and then you press the action button to reveal the Illuminati sign, and when you see that, you know that part is done. Next is when you need the monkey rounds in 4 players. There's 4 different buttons across the map, and these are the ones you have to press simultaneously at the same time with all 4 players. Then once that's done, you can launch the rocket. Blowing it up doesn't affect how it works. Some guides say you should, some say you don't need to. And once that's done, you go to the new Pack-a-Punch area, and where the rocket once was, you will sit under there, all 4 players, on a pressure plate for exactly 2 minutes. You know that's done when you see the clock disappear and the nuke sound go off, as well as an actual nuke killing every zombie on the map. From there, you want to take the lunar landers in this order, and it will spell Luna, and then finally you go back to the lander by the Stamina Up, you see there's a new white orb, and you shoot it with an upgraded ray gun or a thunder gun, and everyone on the map will then get a death machine for 90 seconds. As the first Easter egg, this is very simple. It's short, it's quick, but the difficulty isn't too hard. If you weren't looking for an Easter egg, you would never know how to do it, and you wouldn't understand what to do, especially the 4 buttons. That's just very difficult. I remember when this first came out and videos were being produced all the time just for simple step-by-steps, and NGT or Next Gen Tactics would be one of the first to release it all in one go. And then once that was done, you have a rough idea of how it works, and then you refine it until you find the one simple step. And this is why you still see variances like, do you need to blow up the rocket or do you not need to? Because in some people, they believe you have to, others, they don't. But again, this is super simple. I find it very nice, very convenient. But to rank it, difficulty, it's only a 4 out of 10. You need 4 players, so it's not that difficult, but if you don't have friends, you really struggle to do it. The reward, I give it only a 2 out of 10. It's a 90-second death machine, so you really don't get much out of it, especially because most of the time you're going to be waiting to kill the zombies instead of doing it on the fly. So you have 1 round start, and you kind of waste half your death machine. So overall, I give the map a 9, and adding the new score makes it a 15 out of 30, or if we reduce that down to a 10 scale, a 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Call of the Dead. I wrote down 17 different steps for this, but a lot of them are repeated, so let's begin. First, power on. Second, you need to go to the door under PhD Flopper and knife it. It's a big metal door and you can't miss it. Third, you need to find a fuse that spawns in the room above where the metal door is, and then add it to the fuse box next to the door. Knife the door again. 4 generators will spawn with red glowing lights above them. You must blow those up. Come back, knife the door again. You need to find a white bag somewhere around the ship, and with 2 people, you're going to have a friend wait below it and catch it, and one person has to knife it. Bring it back to the boys behind the door, and then knife it again, and it will continue. You must then go to the lighthouse and start turning dials. I don't know how to do it. It's super confusing, and there's a lot of steps to it. Please again look below in the description to go through it all. Once that's done, you need to go and find radios around the map. And again, these have a specific order to them, so please check below the descriptions and the videos so you know what you're doing. And once that's done, you come back to the ship, and you find the steering wheel and move the brown handle to the 5 o'clock position, and then to the right of that, you have 3 different levers. The first one you move once, the middle one you leave alone, and the third one you move 3 times. After that, you'll find these foghorns around the map, and again, you need to set it off in a specific order, so please check the description below. This will make the lighthouse spawn a green light. The hardest part here is you need the VR11 Wonder Gun. Once that's done, you need to go to the lighthouse, and on the bottom floor, shoot a zombie and make him turn into a human. He'll be then sucked up by the green light, and while he's in there, you have to shoot him and turn him into a downed character. Once he's done going to the top, at the bottom of the lighthouse, you'll see the golden rod, and you pick that up and bring it back to the door, and then shank that door one last time. For completing the Easter egg, you are rewarded with a drop that looks like a death machine. However, you get the Wonder Waff. It makes its return to Black Ops. And unlike the death machine, you get this for unlimited duration until you run out of ammo. And likewise, now every time you kill George Romero from now going forward, as long as you have this achievement, he will drop you the Wonder Waff instead of a death machine. Overall, I think this is a unique but very obscure task that you need to be done, especially because it just forces you to do things in specific orders and have things set up in a weird and difficult way to get everything done. The lighthouse itself is the most confusing and difficult part for no reason. It makes it so obscure and so challenging that everything else is simple, I'll admit. But that, for whatever reason, the lighthouse is awful. I love the reward because I think the Wunderwaffe is a great gun. Likewise, the fact that you can get it again and again just by killing George makes it more worth doing the Easter egg. And killing him gives you that for an unlimited duration for however much ammo you get. And that's nice. For me, the difficulty of this is a 6 out of 10, and that's purely because of the lighthouse. Everything else is easy. I also give the reward a 6 out of 10, but that's purely because you get it forever. If it was a one-time thing, again, I'd probably say a 3 or 4, but because it's forever, it's incredible. So if we go back and we add up the scores, the new score is a 17.5 out of 30, and if we reduce that to a 10, it's a 5.83 out of 10. Alright, buckle down. We have 31 steps going into Shangri-La. Of course, you need to turn the power on, and then you need to turn on the eclipse. In order to make the eclipse activated, you have to have all 4 players go to the spawn room and hit all 4 buttons at the same time. You'll notice when the game turns to a dark, eerie looking night that you've done it correctly. And it should be noted that every step you do, you have to have the eclipse on. And it's very annoying because once you do a step, the eclipse ends and you know it's done. So next you have to go past the MPL and hit the switch and listen for the trap lad speak. Once that's done, 2 sets of pressure plates will appear on 2 different sides of the map. 2 players will have to play a matching game. Every time you get it right, it continues and removes 1 from the board. If you mess up, then you have to restart all over again. Turn the eclipse back on, and 3 players have to go down the water slide. The last one has to stay there and hit a switch on their way. You'll know it's done when that goes back to day. So go back, set a new eclipse. Here you'll need to get the baby gun. You'll notice a small little meteor that spawns next to the water slide. With the baby gun, you then shrink it and knife it down the slide. Send it up the water geyser, and you'll notice that the eclipse goes away again. Initiate another eclipse. When you walk into the hallway past the MPL, you'll notice that there's a valve and a little lever. Turn the valve 4 times. This is the difficult part. You'll need a napalm zombie to walk past and start all the gas leaks that show up from there until the power room. When that's done, go back and initiate the lever. Keep the napalm zombie as you'll need him for the next part. Everyone needs to buy spike mores and head to the waterfall. Once you walk out of there, you'll notice that there's a brick on the wall that says, "Don't hold X, hold it." It will show 4 leaks in the hallway. Put down 4 spike mores so that when the napalm zombie comes by, it blows it up, and it covers up all these holes. You'll then once again have to hold X on that brick, and you'll notice you're done when the eclipse comes back. From there, some panels will show up, and you have to knife those across the map. You go to the minecart, and there will be a snare type thing outside of the map that you need to blow up with a grenade. And then once again, the eclipse, you must do it. After that, there's the dials in the mudroom, which you have a specific code, and please check the description below for that. Eclipse! Now you have to knife the gongs around the map. There's going to be 4 that work and have a different sound. You need to find those 4 and knife those 4 only. After that, there will be dynamite hanging from one of the crystals. You need to shoot the upgraded baby gun at it. And then once that's done, you can catch it, and you need to shoot the other crystal above the mudroom. Once that's done, you'll notice that the meteor that's above the Pack-a-Punch when you're in eclipse mode will go and explode. And for the first time on this map, don't make an eclipse. Once that's done, you can go to the Pack-a-Punch and you'll notice the hole. There's a focusing stone. One person can pick this up, and only one person. That person gets all the perks, but everyone else gets a nice little 75 gamer score. It should be noted that you can do this multiple times so that everyone can get the perks, but only the one person gets it at first. Of course, this is one of the longest Easter eggs, but this is also the most rewarding. You can do it pretty early, but it takes time and requires a lot of steps. The reward is so worth it. Trying to do it 4 times, however, is very difficult, and I don't recommend it. But if you go down and you get hit, or anything, you die, when you have all the perks, you don't lose them. You're a walking juggernaut. You have MW3 Specialist on crack. You are the super soldier. And I love that idea. And the implementation and getting achievement shows how difficult that it was. So the reward is very much worth it. I do find the annoying part, the eclipse, just always turning on and off, but it's very useful to know that you've done the steps correctly. Difficulty-wise, it's not too bad. It takes time, but there are some things like the napalm zombie and the spike mores that make it a bit difficult, because napalm zombies only spawn every 2 rounds. The fact that only one person in multiplayer gets it, you have the difficulty to decide who gets it. Do you give it to your worst player so that they can be less of a burden? Do you give it to your best player so that they can carry you? Like, we fought over this all the time, and it was like, who got it? Do we want to do it multiple times? Do we care enough? And that kind of turned us off from the map. But with that being said, the difficulty, I give it a rating of 6 out of 10. It's more of an annoyance than anything, but it's also very difficult and long. The reward, 7 out of 10, because you can do it multiple times and it's a nice reward. I think it's very good. So the new overall rating is a 19 out of 30, or a 6.3 repeating out of 10. Moon is a difficult Easter egg. You have 2 parts to it, and the second part you can only do if one person that's playing with you has both the previous 2 Easter eggs and their achievements done. And if not, you can only do the first part. That being said, I'm going to go over everything in one. So first things first, make sure you have those people who have done the Easter egg. Second, turn on the power. Third, you're going to go outside the moon base and play Samantha Says. After that, you're going to pick up the hacker and hack one of the wall switches in the lab. It will cost you 500 points, but once that's done, there will be a green switch that you can then hack, and you must hack that. After that, turn on all the 4 wall switches that you hacked in the previous steps. This is where it becomes a little bit annoying. You need Excavator Pi to decompress Tunnel 6, and then once that's done, you have to hack it and take it away. In there, you'll notice a ball that spawns. You must knife, shoot, or get it back out to the satellite. When it's on the satellite, you need the wave gun to shoot it and send it down, and then you must send it through Tunnel 11. Again, in there, you'll have to chase it and shoot it until you make it to the pyramid. Once it's there, a tube will spawn and you need to kill 25 zombies and fill up the chamber with the souls. Behind that, you'll notice a switch once you're done, and you can pull that and everyone gets a 90-second death machine. And then you'll notice Samantha appears out of the pyramid. And this is the first half of the Easter egg done. Continued in the next part of the Easter egg, you need Gersh devices and to go back to Earth. To the left of the teleporter, you'll see a little part where there's a shelf. Throw a grenade there and knock over the plates. Throw a Gersh device at that and it will teleport them to the teleporter. Now when you're back on the moon, you need QEDs, and with those you'll throw it at the plate and they'll be teleported into position. After that, go into the laboratory and find the S-shaped hose and bring it back to the computer and connect it to the plates. The player who is playing as Richtofen will have to type on the computer by pressing X or whatever the action button is. Then you'll get a golden rod. From there, you'll have to bring it back to Samantha at the pyramid. You'll have to fill up 4 tubes of 25 kills each, like you did in the previous step. Once that's done, you can then put the golden rod into the pyramid and pull the lever. That person who pulled the lever will now have all 8 perks. But it doesn't stop there. Once that's done, you go back to Samantha Says and play it 3 more times. Each time will prime 1 rocket that's ready to launch at Earth. Once you've finished all 3 games of Samantha Says, you'll have to throw a QED back at the pyramid at the ball in the middle that you knifed there earlier. Once that's done, throw a Gersh device over at the computers and you'll launch all the rockets. And then everyone will have all 8 perks. Just like in Shangri-La, all these perks are permanent and will stay with you even when you die. Except in single player, if you have quick revive and you go down, you will lose that. So here are my final thoughts. Aside from having someone that has to have done both prior Easter eggs to finish it completely, this is the longest and most tedious Easter egg, but also the most rewarding. I think the map is an excellent end to the game and the Black Ops storyline, and with this, it's actually the first time that there's 5 players available. Technically, it's not 5, it's still 4 with Samantha and Richtofen switching bodies once the Easter egg's done, but it does count as a 5th player. In this, they learned from their last mistakes and gave everyone all the perks, and that is incredible. But really, can you blow up Earth 3 more times? You've already done it thrice. You could say that blowing it up with the 3 rockets is 1 for each player, so I guess technically you did do it. In terms of Easter egg luck, the excavators is the one thing that's annoying. You can do it pretty early, and if you get excavator pie, generally you're good, but if you get one of the other 2 excavators, then it's a bit annoying and you should restart, because it will take far too long to get the Easter egg done. Like overall, that's not really much of an issue. It's very, very easy to get the Easter egg done, but it also takes the most time, and getting the 100 kills in a very compact place is very difficult. I do admit, however, it's much easier than that damn lighthouse on Call of the Dead. Screw that. It's wild that how much I played this game, because 80% of the Easter egg was stuck and ingrained in my head without having to look it up. The ball getting stuck in Tunnel 11 and everyone missing where it went, I still remember where it was in the rafters. I don't know why it stuck with me 13 years later, not playing this game for over 13 years. That's insane. So, with that in mind, the difficulty I gave this map was a 7. I think the 100 kills is probably the hardest, but other than that, Samantha Says is a memory game, and unless you're really, really bad, it's kind of easy. The reward is a 9 out of 10 because it gives everyone exactly what they need and what they should have gave in Shangri-La. And the overall new score I gave it was a 25 out of 30. Or 5 out of 6, or an 8.33 out of 10.
You thirsty, partner?
So now, here's the change in the maps. Of course, the first 3 are not going to change, but Ascension went from a 9 to a 5. Call of the Dead went from a 5.5 to a 5.83. Shangri-La went from a 6 to 6.33. And Moon a 9 to an 8.33. And its zombies paved the way not only for bigger maps, more in-depth storylines, but it built a separate and dedicated community already within the large COD community. Compared to the regular Call of Duty community and multiplayer, the zombies community is way less toxic. The developers never could have seen how far zombies would have came. It was just an afterthought after you beat campaign in World at War, and now it's its own game mode that could be a standalone game. Innovation, creativity, the surprises, the Easter eggs. Black Ops 1 was a new game that laid the foundation, tested the waters, had balancing issues but fixed it, developed their new way of going, and built a huge storyline. And yet, all the devs had to do was learn from the previous mistakes of the maps and build on that. They listened to the community, and with that, they showed their care for not only zombies, but the community and the game as a whole. Nowadays, the game is only there to make money and produce revenue, with microtransactions and basically repeating the same storyline and gameplay every year. Zombies, however, and Black Ops 1 was different. The developers cared, and with that, I really loved this game, and that's why I can safely say that there will never be another Call of Duty Zombies quite like Black Ops 1. Thanks for watching. Hello, this is the post-credit Oddsfall. I'm here. Just some final thoughts as the transition and the outro goes, so to speak. Fun video project. Very difficult. I will not do the storyline. I do not like single player, so. But Black Ops multiplayer part 2 will come out. This video was fun. Very difficult. A lot went into it. A lot more than I thought. I'm using, DaVinci instead of Premiere Pro, which I'm used to. And yeah, the transitions, the different styles. I definitely realized a few things in terms of my vernacular. It's always the same instead of trying to switch it up. And there's a bit of awkwardness. No microphone, different audio backgrounds. It was fun. And right there, like, of course, voice crack. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. But I'm excited. I can't wait to do another one. So if you liked it, let me know what you liked. If you didn't, tell me what you didn't like. And we'll go from there. So thanks for watching. Sub, like, whatever. I don't really care. This was fun.